It is hard to believe it's been over 5 years since the pandemic, and we all know what happened during that pandemic. It seems like a blur. Lots of business owners and businesses struggled, some shut down, unfortunately, while others managed to survive and some even thrived. Today, my friends, we sit down with an amazing entrepreneur, the owner of Around the Block Butcher and Market, David, and he's going to explain what he did to get through and survive and thrive through the pandemic. It was not easy, my friends. Grab your paper, grab your pen, take some notes, because there's some gold nuggets on how David and his team built Around the Block Butcher and Market to what it is today. Enjoy. Hi, I'm Marshall Stern, and I've spent over 35 years leading and growing multiple small businesses. I know firsthand the struggles of entrepreneurship, feeling isolated, lonely, overwhelmed, and feeling like you have to do it all by yourself. I've been through multiple recessions, and I have felt the highs and the lows. I've been there, and I get it. This podcast is here to change that. Every week, I will bring you straight talking advice, real-world strategies, and honest conversations about what it takes to succeed in business without the fluff, the gimmicks, or the sugarcoating. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress, then you are in the right place. This is the Stern Truth. All right, welcome back everyone to another episode of the Stern Truth, Business Unfiltered. And today, my friends, I have the honor to introduce you to David Wallace of Around the Block. Well, you see the sign behind him, Butcher and Market. David, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. We just wrapped up a busy day here. It's 6:15 in the Ottawa area, and we closed at 6, and we had lots of customers through today. Lots of compliments on what we're doing, and it's been all around a solid day. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Doing well. So what I like to do, this is the Stern Truth. This is Business Unfiltered. So I like to hear other entrepreneurs' journeys, their ups and downs, what's worked, what hasn't worked. Maybe just quickly, just share a little bit of your journey and a little bit about the company, size of the company. I mean, it looks like you have an amazing location there. I'm actually getting hungry and just looking at the stuff in the fridge back there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how long have you had business?
June 27th will be 12 years. And we've only been in this space though for 18 months. We had a smaller store not far from here that was 900 square feet. And we outgrew that space, arguably before the pandemic, I would say. And when the pandemic came down on everyone, the idea of moving our business was completely put on the back shelf for quite some time. And we just had to focus on making sure that the business had sustainability in it. And so we got through that at our previous store, and now we're in 3,000 square feet with a lot more capability, a lot more visibility, very close to our original location. It was paramount to us that we not move far from our customer base and really invite and encourage them to continue to shop with us. So it was key that we not go far. We're in a nice community in West End of Ottawa, and it's been many things over those 12 years. But if I were to sum it up, it's been one heck of a ride.
I'm sure it has. So I'm just curious, you briefly talked about the pandemic. So
Yes.
How did you, aside from holding off on the expansion part, how did you navigate that?
Well, so, I'll preface that by saying that not just during the pandemic, but from the life of the business, from the very beginning until now, I've been surrounded by phenomenal people that really make this possible. And the pandemic, we closed for a month to get our bearings. And then in that month, my dad and brother designed sort of an airlock type system, if you will, that perfectly fit our front door So we didn't allow for in-store shopping at that point in time, but we sort of had an exchange at the door. It was all like, it was so tight fitting that it was soundproofed and everything. And we spoke with microphones through plexiglass back and forth and deposited their goods underneath and took payment through the plexiglass, which, got us a lot of media attention. I was just the end user of what my brother and dad had designed for that, but it got us lots of media attention, and people felt safe shopping with us with that. So we had that in place for, I honestly don't remember how long we used that system. It's I think I'm not alone in thinking that those days are rather blurry, if you will. And so that was one aspect of it. Another aspect of it was we pieced together an online store. And, we weren't tooled for that whatsoever, really. And selling the types of goods that we do, a lot of items are sold by weight. We're dealing with perishables, et cetera. It posed a bunch of challenges, and it still does on our online store. Our online store really only reflects 20% of the store's offerings, if that, because the idea of migrating our in-store experience to a website is, not a strength of mine, and something that these product lines aren't the easiest to sell on the internet compared to, say, clothing or something. There's companies that have a lot of success in it, but they're more e-commerce focused, whereas we're in-store focused. But, so that was one way. We staggered our shifts, we reduced our hours. We did take the SEBA loan, not the full amount, but a good chunk of it. And it was a very anxiety-ridden time. There was sort of existential threat, of course. Wondering, are we going to be able to open again? Are institutions going to pull through this? Will banking collapse? Or, for example, whether or not those were real things that could have happened, it was hard for my imagination not to get away. And but through help of people around me, our excellent customer base, which I'm very grateful for. We have fantastic customers. The idea that they felt comfortable coming into our store or to the store, I should say, really is what pulled us through, and sort of the spirit of Around the Block. At the time, we were called Around the Block Butcher Shop. Now we're Around the Block Butcher and Market with the expansion. But at the time, the essence of Around the Block Butcher Shop was sort of small but mighty, and a little store that could, and it did.
It sounds a lot, from what I'm hearing, you said you've surrounded yourself with phenomenal people.
Yes.
And that including obviously your staff and your brother and your father coming up with this system.
Yeah.
Sounds incredible. I'm gonna have to Google it afterwards.
I'll send you some photos. Yeah, it was cool.
Because I remember I had a sign company at the time, so I had people. We didn't have a lot of customers coming in, but I had my staff and whatnot, and we were open nonstop because we were, I guess, considered an essential service.
Us as well.
Yeah. So, but I stayed open during that month because even when everything was shut down, anyways, because we had stuff we could do in house, like to get things done and whatnot. But I think we shortened our hours. Again, it's a blur, right? It's a blur.
Totally. I feel like we all lost 36, 48 months there, and time warped in very strange ways.
Yeah. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of books coming out about it. I'm sure there already has been. There's gonna be a lot more.
Yep, no doubt.
So I guess one question I have I have a lot of questions, but one question I have right now is, how did you actually get into this business?
Okay. So when I was 15, I started working in restaurants and kitchens. Actually, I'll tie in something else because I think it pertains to small business. My very first job when I was 15 was at a hardware store called Rona And I was a runner there, and you'd think that it had this structure that made it obvious of what I ought to be doing in a shift there. But I've had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. And anyway, I didn't stay employed there for too long, and then I went to an independently owned restaurant, and I really fell in love with it, and just kept pushing on that. I was reading cookbooks, watching cooking shows, cooking in my spare time. Fell in love with food, or at least explored my love for food, kept that going. And for the following few years, I started working in some better and better kitchens. I got a co-op at one of Ottawa's very well regarded restaurants. It's since closed, but I got a co-op there for high school, and then I got full-time employment there. And I was really like a sponge. I was getting, I was learning a lot of skills. I was watching people with a lot of experience and trying to, adapt to their workflow and match their workflow and everything. I still have lots to learn. I still have lots to learn. And so I continued on with that path. And we moved to my then girlfriend. We moved to Vancouver. Because there's a lot of great restaurants in that city, and I wanted to keep pushing and learn more skills and learn from great chefs out there, and and explore the big city of Vancouver. I was there for a year. I worked in a couple of good restaurants there, one of which we were doing our own butchery, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But maybe about a year or so into my stay in Vancouver, I decided that perhaps I would pursue another career path. I moved back to Ottawa, and I thought I would pursue something in sciences in university, but I didn't have the high school prerequisite credits for the science program, so I went to adult high school to get maths and sciences. I'd already graduated high school, but not those credits. That was going really, really well. I was engaged. I was enjoying it. But then it's funny, almost like a switch. I just sort of lost interest very quickly when that took place, and I needed somewhere to work at that point in time. So I applied at butcher shops, and there was one that was very close to where I grew up, and very mom and pop. Had been there for a long time. There weren't people coming in to apply at this business too regularly. And I came in on a day when the husband and wife who ran it at the time, they were just discussing earlier that day that they needed some help in store. I came in with a resume just by chance, and they said they would call me the next day. But what they did was call me later that day, and I started the next day full time at that store, which was called Brian's Butchery at the time. And the husband and wife who ran the store took on that business as a family obligation. It was his father's business. He fell ill and passed away, and they took on the store to get it out of its debts and try to sell it one day. And I worked for them for 4 years. The latter 2 years of those 4, the conversations really grew in seriousness and interest and intensity about me taking over that business, because they were looking for their exit, and we were able to come to an agreement for me to buy Brian's Butchery. Again, it took a lot of help for that to happen. Partially structured with a vendor take back financing, and I rebranded it. I did a lot of new things with it. I called it Around the Block Butcher Shop, which was the first name that I thought I came up with a couple dozen names for the business, but that was always it was the first one that I thought of, and it was always the one that I liked the most. So we went with that, and we got a great branding agency that one that I couldn't afford anymore. At the time, they were just getting started, and there's no way I could afford their services now because they've accelerated quite a bit in their design work. Um, and they did a great branding package for us, and we did lots of collaborative type things. We became um, steady on social media and trying new things with it and everything. And I mean, the Brian's Butchery customer base continued to shop with us, and we were getting a lot of new people as well. Um, and yeah, I mean, so in a way, it wasn't quite a startup, but it was a new brand doing new
Mhm.
things. Um, and we grew that business over the coming years. And now I think of Around the Block as sort of a startup all over again, now that we're 18 months into our new space, which is, again, far more capable, lots more moving parts. But it's been a great start. And we wouldn't be able to do what Around the Block is doing right now if we didn't, gain that experience in a smaller space. There's no way. So
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. I mean, it sounds like you were timing is everything, I would say, and you were kind of like in the right place. I mean, it took maybe 4 years or 2 to 4 years, but you were in the right place at the right time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and I think that's certainly a piece of the equation. Um, Another part of it is that was their family's sort of legacy here in Ottawa.
Hmm.
It was a very popular store when his dad Brian was running it. When Brian passed away, I think there were 2,000 people at his funeral. And So right place at the right time, yes. But I think they were keen that we take it over. There's somebody knocking on the door. Sorry, but
Okay.
yeah.
Customers first.
Um, so yeah, I think it was a nice synergy. They were happy to see it to go someone who cared about the business and who had a good relationship with the customers. Which I never really chalked myself up as being a social person per se, but now later in life with some time to reflect, I think I am. And I engage with several hundred people a week, say, or what
Mhm.
have you.
Tell me about the team you have now,
Sure, sure.
and
So
so about the team, and I guess your leadership style. Putting you on the
okay.
spot here.
All right, which is something I'm in a phase right now, I would say, where I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself for professional development when it comes to my leadership style. The team at the moment, my wife Chantal works in the business full time as well. She started working in the business full time when her restaurant serving job vaporized during COVID, and we thought, well, I mean, I suppose against conventional wisdom, we put all of our eggs in one basket. But at the same time, it was the only thing we had. So we thought we better focus on that and try to do a really good job of that business. So she's taken a lot of ownership over the place now. Customers love her. She manages a lot of customer service. She does heaps of administrative work, of which we generate ample. It's shocking. Um, and so, yeah, we got her. My mom works the floor pretty regularly, not as much as she used to, but she comes in and helps the customers. She loves them. We have a service and sales manager who's been with us since our old store. Um, and she really has a huge vested interest in this place. She loves it. And we work really closely with her. We've got, let's see, how many are we? Right now, I believe we're 10, including
Oh,
Chantal
wow.
and I, with only one part timer. Everybody else is full
Mhm.
time or pretty close. Um,
Okay. That's a
and,
good size. That's a good
and
size.
I'm, you know, I've been talking to the staff just um, today, even just trying to gain some insights how they feel about working in small business. And some of what they said was really quite lovely. They find it personally engaging. They love the creativity that can take place in here. And it is a creative space. We're a little quirky, we're a little off the walls, there's um, there's lots of color. There's different music on. It's
Oh.
yeah, it's bright. But and we really try to encourage people to be themselves. They love the collaborative energy. They love that they get to come in here and I feel like build something that I hope in time proves to be um, something that's part of the fabric of this community. I feel really strongly about that. I'm very proud of that. And I'm just going to quickly look at my notes here. Some of the other things they've said is that the individual impact that they get to have in the workplace and small business as opposed to larger places, they really feel that they're contributing to the success of it. And, I've heard of several of them either come out and say that they take ownership over certain things, or at least they're using language that suggests that they're thinking about this place as something more than just their day to day, and something more than just a paycheck for them, which is an honor for me and Chantel, my wife Chantel. They like being involved in something that maybe disrupts markets, even if only at a small scale, but sort of keeping those dollars at home as opposed to going to conglomerates or what have you. They're really sort of passionate about that, and yeah, so the team is great. I often hire based on personality as opposed to experience, and do the training here, and I try to promote from within as well. And uh, yeah, our team is a blast, and they engage with the customers really well. And they've got a lot of mixed experiences within our team right now that kind of rounds out the place, and they're great. I mean, we can't do it without them, and we appreciate them showing up every day the way that they do, which is really trying to offer a great experience in the store, but also the experience based on the products that we sell doesn't end when they leave the store. That the experience of around the block butcher market carries on to when they go and and eat the food that they buy from us, and we take it all very seriously, and we have a great time doing it.
So that really answers my question about your leadership style, and that says a lot about you as a leader, right? Some of the comments they've made and how they feel, they're engaged, accountability, ownership. Um, that's critical, and I think a lot of for those people that are watching or listening, whether you're one person operation, call yourself a solopreneur. Hate the term, but that's what it is. You can still build a team. You don't have to have employees on your payroll. You can outsource virtual assistants, marketing agencies, whatnot, coaches, mentors. You can have people, bookkeepers. You can have people on your team, and it's critical. I don't think people.
We've never had any of those.
No, no, but you have the people
Well,
on. Sorry.
yes, but we are interested in some of those services as we grow here. But yeah, anyway,
But
yes,
as you grow, but you have the people on your team, like on your payroll, the staff, the people who are serving the customers, the people who are building those relationships alongside you and your wife and your mom. It's not
yeah,
just the, right?
yes.
Um, there's a really good book out there. I don't know if you've read it. It's by Brian Scudamore of 1-800 Got Junk.
Oh yeah.
And it's called WTF.
So I know the title and I know his name. I don't know too much about his backstory, however, but I will.
It's a really good. I would get the Audible, like the audio version if you can. And for our
Sure.
listeners, just have a listen because a lot of what you're saying, you didn't go into detail, but it's all what he said. It's all about he always says he wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for the people he had on his team.
Yeah. This is a non-starter
Yeah.
without the fantastic team that we've managed to bring on board and retain. Thankfully, unfortunately.
But again, that goes back to your leadership style and your ability. And a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, I find, small business owners, I find, micromanage, and they're like the old style boss, where it's like, check your baggage, check your attitude at the door, do your job. This is what I need you to do. Do it. Go home. Goodbye. and it's just a job. And, you know, if you're running McDonald's, it might be that case, although they train them very well, but they're students, they're young. It's a job, they move on, right?
Sure.
They do have a training program, though. So I'm not slamming McDonald's. They have a good training program. Some people stay longer.
I mean, you know, I think that Around the Block has a lot to learn from a company like McDonald's.
Yes. However, it's more, and I guess the point I'm trying to make is the more we can empower our team and make the culture, especially again, whether it's a in-person shop like you had, or my sign company, which we had staff in shop, you know, in-house, or you're all remote, which is a different challenge. It goes back to, I hate to use the word, the culture. If we can make the culture, and I love what you said, hire for, you said personality rather than skill. You could train on skill
Yes.
or experience. You said experience. I always say that, hire on character, personality, whatever you want to call it.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, and this bunch really cares, and I can't teach that to someone. I might be able to inspire it from someone from time to time. You know, I might be,
Yes.
and you know, and I think, not to toot my own horn or anything like that by any stretch, but I have seen people gain further confidence in here, and that's one of the best things about this. Like, if they can come on board here, and by the time they leave, um, they're more well prepared for the next part of their life, and we've done what we can to sort of help them along with what they want to do. Like, I just love them
Mhm.
so much, and I've seen it happen where, you know, we we do try to boost people up, but in a genuine fashion. You know, we get to know these people really well, and we that's it. It's just it's one of the best aspects of being an employer, uh, from my experience.
Well, but I want people to hear that, because that is, first of all, it's more fulfilling, right?
Totally, totally.
And
More so
uh,
all the time.
more so,
Yeah.
you know, I wrote a book uh, back in 2008, and the biggest, I think the biggest premise of the book, I didn't do much with the book. But anyways, the biggest message in the book, I think, for me, and what I wanted people to get out of the book was to that your number one customer, like, people focus so much on their customers, okay, or they focus on the profit, the bottom line, all important, 100% for sure. But the whole premise of the book was your number one customer is your employees, your team. You take care of them first. You take care of them, they will take care of the customer.
Exactly. I think that was I think that's famously said by Richard Branson. I think,
He got it from me, just so you know. He got it
yeah,
from me.
yeah.
He must have
Well,
read
no,
my
no, no.
book.
I mean, just the last little bit there,
No.
but the sentiment rings true, and they've been really patient with us.
Yeah.
You know, I listened to your previous podcast with, excuse me, oh, what is her name? I just listened to it this morning.
Oh, is that the one, Jenny?
Yes, yes. So, and I listened to Jenny's podcast, and it came, you know, when she got into business, it came with some corporate structure. Our staff, you know, we don't have that, and it's not a strong suit of mine to design that structure and implement it. However, I'm putting more and more pressure on myself to do so, and it is something that I would like to do in a refined manner. But they've been really patient with us as employers as well, because we have so much to learn, and this is a new business for us, and you know, we're dealing with more volume and more customers and more paperwork and more team members on board, and um, uh, more of everything. And you know, they've been really great at helping us get there and being understanding that we don't have all the answers yet. There's all sorts of foundational bricks left to form, then fire, then cure, and then lay. You know, like, there's so much vision left for this business, that we are on our way to. But you know, frankly, we're maturing as as a company, and Chantal and I are maturing as employers. But there's still, it's only been 12 years, and only been 18 months in our new space, and we have lots to piece together yet. And they've been, again, just completely understanding of that, and help us every step of the way. And they're a great sounding board too. We've got smart people, with, again, varied experiences, and we lean on them too to help us in some of our decision making and what directions to go in and things of that nature. So they're very involved, as I suppose is what I'm trying to say.
And that you're preaching to the choir. I mean, I think it's so important. That's what I do with my clients. Like, if you don't have a team, build a team. Again, they don't have to be employees. They could be subcontracts. They could be virtual assistants, whatnot. But bring people on your team that will help you achieve your vision faster. Bring people on your team who buy into your vision.
Yeah.
And you empower them. And because they see things that we don't see. And they'll give ideas. If you give people the opportunity, they will flourish. They will come up with ideas that we as the employers, as the leaders of the business, don't see.
And I'm so of the mindset that, everyone's a teacher.
Exactly. Right. And it's also different generational, right? People think differently. So bring people on your team, allow them to just help you. It's
And I hope that we help them. And I mean, a win for them is a win for around the block, and a win for around the block is a win for them. And I firmly believe that, and I believe in what we're doing here as an enterprise. Although it's had its turbulence, it has its ongoing challenges.
That's where, okay, I want to go. Enough with the good stuff.
Okay.
Enough with the good stuff. Enough with all that good stuff about employees and leadership and all that stuff. Tell me something.
But before we switch that, I will say that we have so many more great days in here than bad.
Interesting point. Okay, because sometimes people watching or listening to this might be thinking, "That's great for you, good for you," but right now it's a bad day for me, or I'm going through a bad stretch, or this or that. Right?
Sure. We work very hard, and there's been lots of risk. And there still is.
What are some of the turbulences that you wish to share that you've had to go through, aside from the pandemic? Yeah.
Right. So I mean, one thing is I don't know how to encapsulate this fully, but we changed banks. That was not easy, and still 18 months later, still has the odd challenge when when we're paying invoices or collecting or whatever. So there's still some ongoing challenges with that. Moving the business and took ample planning, and I really got to credit again others in my life to really help me with that massive undertaking. Securing financing for that was very difficult. We have several loan products. We have a government-backed small business loan. That was a tough nut to crack. And we've got some financing from BDC and one other one, but interest rates are challenging. The fact that we went over budget now 18 months in is still proving to be difficult. We haven't, we operate in the red often. But I never that's stressful. And yes, it means things for people we do business with, but I never think that this won't work out. It's just like, I don't know if I'm just like too thick or too short-sighted or, too, or inadequately intelligent or something like that. But I never even consider that this won't work. But, and then challenges also in the form of adjusting to higher volume and more customers and hiring people and training. And, even simple things like typing out a recipe book. we're 12 years in, and it wasn't until 6 weeks ago that I finally started typing recipes for this place.
Oh.
And I operate this business largely without a computer until recently, and then I got one, and it's been really nice to have a sort of brain extension. I should have done it years ago, but anyway. Um, um, I have attention deficit disorder. I got a diagnosis of that as a teenager. All the signs were there earlier in life as well. But with that comes some strengths, but also a lot of weaknesses. And I'm historically speaking, I've been a person of high highs and low lows. I'm really trying to, in my own off time and lifestyle, trying to create a situation for myself where that I'm not as prone to ups and downs. And fatigue is a challenge at times. Although right now I'm feeling pretty energized, but it comes. Ongoing creativity is a challenge. Creativity is a tough thing to force. Um, what I mean, what else? Staying on top of the email inbox is well, we don't stay on top of the email box. I'll tell you that right now. Not even close. That's a challenge. Communicating with everyone that we do business with is tough. But we're getting better. We're getting better. And we're aware of these problems and are trying to work out solutions. But again, um, having living with ADD and trying to run a business is uh, is tough. I'm I'm really trying to do favors for myself so that I can better stay on top of this, and I owe it to so many people to be the best version of myself. So I'm putting some focus into that. Like I owe Chantel, I owe the staff, um, I owe my parents, I owe our suppliers, I owe our customer base, I owe everyone.
You
Uh,
forgot you forgot yourself.
well, no, I didn't say it. However, I don't. I do think about myself too, and I owe to myself to create a life here that is sustainable and generally um, uh, a positive business career and something that's very rewarding. And I think that this is a big ball of potential to frankly, so far has been a remarkable life, and I'm really looking forward to more. Um, but yeah, there's this place is hard work. It's hard work and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
risky and it's stressful. But I would not, I wouldn't trade it per se for sort of the, you know, maybe a career path that comes with more perceived stability. Um, I think that we're right where we ought to be.
Hmm. So thank you for that.
Of course.
And it's also helpful for other people like our listeners to hear it because it's not, I know and it's important. We talked about the leadership and the team and all that, and that's great because that's really, really important. And that allows you and the business to grow.
Yes.
We can't do it. It takes a village, right? All the metaphors. Okay, it takes a village. Um, but it is hard work. And that's why I've started this podcast. It's hard.
Mm.
And it's not like, what you see online,
No, I know, and then
beautiful.
there's this isn't my field, but say for lack of a better term, there's personality types I wouldn't recommend entrepreneurship to, for
Right.
example. And we're open 7 days a week. We open at 8:30 in the morning, 7 days a week. I don't work 7 days a week at the moment, but I have for months on end,
Yeah.
plenty of times, um, plenty of times. Uh, and we did a shift that was 37 hours one time when we were opening this store.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, you know what, you do what you need to do.
37 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
didn't stop. um, Lots of 18-hour days.
What um what would be one before we go, I want to make sure we get this in. So if someone out there is maybe they have a team, doesn't matter if they have a team of staff or they're just on their own, but they're kind of just really not where they want to be. And they're you talk about the highs and the lows, and they're a bit low right now.
Okay.
Things are slow. What would you, one from your experience and how
Mm.
you've navigated ups and downs and whatnot? What would be one, as I like to call it, the golden nugget? Some sort of piece of advice or tip that you would. This is a lot of pressure. I'm putting you on the hot spot here, but something
Pardon?
that I'm putting you on the hot spot here. So
No.
a
Okay.
tip or piece or the golden nugget that you wish to sort of impart, some wisdom you wish to impart on our listeners, something that has helped you.
Um, do do what you believe in. Do the right thing and show up the best version of yourself that you can be. And I've gone through phases where I wasn't that. Um, when the business was smaller. Um, and try to um, light a fire and inspire people those around you, and also take note from them because I think I don't know, I'm always floored by people, all sorts of people. I think people are just amazing, and I love them more and more all the time. And you're you might have to you're going to go through discomfort, and you might already be there, but I think that all of that can contribute to being what is hopefully one of the most rewarding and one of the greatest pleasures of your life, like it is for me. And it
Mm.
really is. It really is. I love this place, and I can't believe that I get to do this for a living. And I can't believe that I get to, just we just put our own spin on stuff, and people respond to it. And so, find what's uniquely yours, um, and cultivate what you feel is the best path, really. And bring some people with you if you can.
Mm.
Create some jobs if you can. Um, Financial pressures nowadays are, for most entrepreneurs I speak with, a very real thing. This economy is tough. Interest rates are high. Spending power is down. I mean, I don't need to go into it. We all know this. But I think getting through those times is just going to make you all the more resilient. And I don't. You'll find over time that you're not phased by as many things as you used to be. Um, I'm not anyway. Problems arise, and I know how to handle them now. Not all of them, granted, and we got lots more problems on the way, and there'll be ones that we didn't see coming, and things that we've never done before. But the fact that we've come out the other side of all of them thus far, um, really makes me believe that we can keep going. And I think that anyone who's dedicated and um, and and wants to carve out their own way in life and is willing to take some risks, because it is, in our case, it's a big risk, at least relative to us. And I think that if that sort of describes you, I don't think there's anything that can stop you.
I'm actually don't know what else to say. I'm actually quite speechless. I think you have said it all. I mean, there's a lot more to say.
Sure.
I might have to have you back.
Let's come back.
Sorry?
I'd love to be on again.
I'm going to let our listeners go. Um, but I just like you touched on so many things right there. Talk about falling in love with your business, or I wrote down falling in love with your business, or falling back in love with your business. I'm just writing
Yeah,
down things as you're talking about it because
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that. I mean, we even considered, I know you want to wrap up, but we even considered selling the business, I think in 2022.
yeah,
At home for months straight, it was all we talked about. And, we thought we would sell our business, perhaps sell our home, which we had just got, a little townhouse starter home that we're still in. And I thought maybe I'd go to college for the paramedic training program. Chantel would take some time to figure out maybe what she wanted to do. And, we seriously thought about exiting this business. But when we decided to stay in business, we made the decision to expand. And we also, we don't have what it takes to run two stores simultaneously. It was one bigger, better store is what we wanted. Two at the same time. I think it would only be a matter of a few days before I didn't know what was going on at either of them. It wasn't
Right.
it wasn't a lifestyle that we wanted. And when prior to the pandemic, we offered to lease on some spaces that would have functioned as a second location to run simultaneously. And am I ever glad that none of them worked out?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other thing. When something doesn't work out, and things won't work out, it may surprise you one day as to that was the best thing.
Yeah. Well, as I say, like when one door closes, another one opens.
Totally.
And
Totally.
and sometimes that door that's open is well, in your case, it's this one new location.
Yeah, which
One new bigger location. Yeah.
I adore this place. I'm crazy about it. It's awesome. We put so much thought into it, and it's really Anyway, I just can't keep me away for too long.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're okay, I'm going to put your contact info and the website, Instagram. I know you're on that and all that. Put that in the show notes. People can reach out to you, whether you're in the Ottawa area or you're in Florida. It doesn't really matter. When you're in the Ottawa area,
I am.
Come on up. You are, but talking to our listeners, come on up. Check out David and his business, or reach out if you have any questions or comments. Too. Also, I'd just love to hear people's feedback and comments on this episode, and share it with people, because I think a lot of things that you've said throughout this. This is the longest. Just so you know, this is the longest to date interview I do once in a month. I do the business therapy thing, which is up to an hour, usually around an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is the longest guest interview that I've done.
Okay.
And you've delivered every minute of it. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and for entrepreneurs out there, or those that are thinking of entering into entrepreneurship. It is it's a completely rewarding life, and it's full of lessons, and I love the continual learning that this business gives me and forces on me, and makes me adapt to. So I think that I would encourage anyone who thinks they have that fire to think about what they want to do, and go for it, because I'm a very fortunate and grateful person for this.
Awesome. I think you are. I think your community is. Obviously, your staff is very fortunate to have you and your wife as the leaders of the company. So
thank you.
So thank you. And again, everyone, just please send your feedback, contact info down below, share, like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. And we'll see you again next week on another episode of The Stern Truth, Business Unfiltered. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Stern Truth. If you found today's episode helpful, we would love to hear from you. Please like, share, and leave us a review. Also, if you'd like to be a guest in an upcoming episode or join us in one of our Momentum Accountability Group sessions, simply email me to marshall@marshallstern.net. That's marshallstern.net. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep pushing forward and leading with confidence.